Symphony, and I also play in SUIS.
Hi everyone, my name is Esther Jung. I've been playing violin for about 12 years now and piano for 11. And I'm involved in I was involved in SUIS, school orchestra for both middle school and high school. I was also involved in a lot of outside community organizations, so Amaze and some chamber ensembles as well. So if you have any questions about those, I would be willing to answer. And what else? I'm an incoming freshman to UC Berkeley, just graduated CCA. And yeah, any questions? Any questions about pretty much anything music, we're here to answer for you today.
All right. Well, I have some questions that were pre-submitted. So, which is the best way I can support my child's music education?
I think one of the most important things is that you have a private teacher. I think that is one of the best ways you can support your child's education is by giving them that individual one-on-one education. And whether that has to be with like a student tutor or whether that's with like a professional teacher, either way, but it's always good to have someone that can do that one-on-one work with your child. I think that can really help them grow exponentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, I'll go next.
Yeah.
That's a super broad question. I think, especially for families like mine where we were new to music and we were immigrants, so we had no idea like how to approach music. It's especially important, like Diana said, to get that individual focus on your student, just because they need to feel supported as a soloist, no matter like how many orchestras they end up doing and how many group things they end up doing, because those basics do need to be there. But I also encourage parents. I think it's not promoted well enough to put your students in groups and orchestras as early as possible, because they need to know that there's this other side of music that involves like interacting with other people and learning that sense of connection and teamwork from an early age is super important just for any type of development. And I know it varies based on how old your student is. Like when we start as elementary schoolers, like the priority is, oh, get the student practicing like every day. But especially for people with older students, like going into middle school or high school, I would strongly emphasize that point of join a group, join a chamber ensemble even, and make sure students have access to a group of friends where they can play.
Yeah, and for me, I know it was kind of a struggle trying to choose if I should, how much time I should allot in my classes for music classes. But I think definitely in middle school, it's a great opportunity, especially since if your student needs to take another elective, and music classes are always there. And that was my first exposure to playing in an orchestra. And I think it's a good way to start because there's a lot of other people with similar backgrounds. In terms of high school, it definitely gets a bit more confusing, but I think we'll have a live stream about that later this day as well. But I definitely think having experience in a high school orchestra is also like a lot different. So definitely playing in groups, I think, is a good way to support music.
Yeah, great answers. I have another submitted question. If anyone, it's what are a few reasons students should continue music for all 4 years of high school, especially at CCA?
I'll go first, and then you guys can add. Just for me, because I'm on the other side of having graduated high school, it's incredibly important for on the college side of things that see continuity in your schedule, you know, it's really hard to say you took chemistry all 4 years or something, right? Because you need to squeeze in everything. But you have a chance to show colleges that you integrated a course with music into your classroom activities for all 4 years of high school. And that is incredibly important, showing them how committed of a student you are. And on the personal development side of it, doing music for all 4 years, like you have a kind of a homeroom. I know CCA added a homeroom, but all the orchestra and band kids like had a homeroom before homeroom existed. Like you'll have a pack that you can go to every single day. Um, Over the 4 years, I've met so many different alumni now and different incoming students who are like my lifelong friends and part of this program too. So it's definitely important for there to be some continuing music education in your high school, like academic career.
Yeah, I absolutely second everything that Esther said. I think that about the continuity of taking it, like she was talking about, not many people have that. There are lots of people that get straight A's and get good test scores, but not everybody can show that level of commitment to something. And by doing orchestra throughout high school, you're able to show colleges that this is something that you're passionate about and that you had growth in. And also, colleges love musicians. So the more that you can like emphasize that you are a musician or that your child is a musician, I think the better. And absolutely what she said about it being like very much of a home, I can absolutely second that. Like orchestra literally has just become my second family. Um, and I think high school would have been very, very different without it. Not different in a good way.
Yeah. I'm not as qualified to answer this because I think I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm actually not gonna be taking a music class this coming fall. But I definitely agree on the orchestra community, and I was very hesitant on like choosing between classes. I think that a lot of parents as well might be hesitant to dedicate 8 classes. Well, for example, at CCA, dedicate 8 classes. Just for music. I think that even dedicating a class a year, it might not be the same as dedicating your full time, but it still shows that you had music in your life throughout your high school career. But yeah, I think it might be one of my regrets not taking orchestra this year, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Great answers. If anybody has questions, feel free just to put them in chat. And I have one more pre-submitted question before anything. What are a few reasons it would be beneficial for parents to send their students to Summer Symphony?
So I can grab this one. When I was an incoming freshman at CCA, like the summer right before my freshman year, that was the first time that I did Summer Symphony. Now, coming from middle school and going to high school, not many of my friends from middle school were going to CCA. Most of them went to Torrey Pines. And the ones that did go to CCA weren't doing orchestra. And I knew that I was going to do orchestra, so I wanted to have some sort of introduction to it. And that's why I did Summer Symphony. And it was, I think, probably the best thing that I could have done to invest in myself before going into high school. Those 2 weeks, which were right before the school year started, were honestly like the best 2 weeks of my summer. I was able to get to know like the people that would become like my really close friends in high school, the people that I would be playing an orchestra with, like my peers. I really got to become friends with them and experience performing with them even before I got to high school. It made that first day, first week, first month so much less challenging because I came in already feeling like I had a place there. I think a lot of the nervousness that comes from going into high school is that you don't know what to expect. It's a new environment. But to me it wasn't really new because I already knew where I was going to be and I knew the people that were going to be around me. So that's that aspect of it. That was at least really important for me. I think it's also a really amazing way for you to grow as a musician. I mean, as a leader, I'm really proud of all the work that we have done to put this together. And I know that what we have selected is something that is really beneficial for students is growth as a musician. And I have learned so much even just from putting this together and like watching the live streams and videos. I can definitely say that it has improved my musicianship and my quality as a player.
Yeah. And like my experience with Summer Symphony is kind of similar to Diana's. Obviously, I kind of my sister founded this program, so I kind of like I was watching it from afar, I guess. But when I got into middle school, that was my first time experience in the orchestra and playing with other people, and I really didn't have any confidence in my playing at all. And just joining orchestra, not just school orchestra, but an outer orchestra with people that all like music and just the most supportive group of musicians I know. I know a lot of times in school orchestras, it's really easy to feel really competitive about seating, having playing tests, wanting to get like first chair but I think in Summer Symphony there was more this like environment of just playing the music. Obviously seating is fun, there can be a bit of competition, but like it was a totally different like environment than like school orchestra for me. And just like all the alumni, they're so good. Like all of the players in Summer Symphony, like I looked up to them so much because they were so good at their instruments. And like you really get this like kind of mentor student like relationship. Also for me, like starting in middle school, I got to know a lot of the CCA students. So when I actually joined high school, when I became a freshman, like it was a lot less new for me. I knew a lot more people. I got too close to a lot more people, so it felt like a better transition for me. Yeah, I think the repertoire in Summer Symphony just felt a lot more refreshing as well. I think in school orchestra, it feels a lot more like an assignment, or like, I didn't really like a lot of the pieces we played, but like the repertoire was really challenging for my level, but it was also like fun. I could actually appreciate the music side of things. And also we've had like chamber groups in Summer Symphony in the past, and that was my first time playing in a smaller group as well, like with 3 to 4 people, and that was definitely a new experience. So I think for anyone, like even beginning or like at any stage, it's like it has all the benefits of like joining a symphony, but you get to do it with friends, and like it just feels a lot more relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best thing for parents to hear actual student testimonials. So I'll just add, as someone who started this program, I think for parents, it's incredibly important for your kids to see that something as grown as this is all student run. Like your student can do that too. And it's incredibly important. Like for me, when I was growing up in San Diego, like just as a middle schooler and an incoming high schooler, like the people I looked up to the most were like leaders of clubs, starters of organizations, and they really like instilled a belief in me that student drive can do so much. And I think that's a really incredible point to show your kids, and that's something that Summer Symphony can do for students. Like they see students running around the entire 2 weeks and they're like, wow, this whole thing is just all done by students. There's hardly any adults in the building unless they're watching or they're helping coaching, you know? So even the concerts, like we're running call times and stage crew with all kids. So it's super organic, and I'll add, it's a great way, a free opportunity, which is scarce, to start your student, like start getting interested in a symphony orchestra, a chamber ensemble, and there's a jazz aspect to it as well that no class musician really like trains to like incorporate into their studies. But your student has a free opportunity to try jazz, and it's just an incredibly diverse place, and you can get introduced to maybe your future private teacher there with the coaches we have. And yeah, I think that Diana and Chris made excellent points from the student view. As a founder, I'm obviously very biased, but yeah, those are just some excellent additions I think I can add.
Great. I had a question. This is kind of specific to Esther, but how do you feel that music education has impacted your candidacy for college application?
Yeah, so yesterday's live stream and Friday's live stream are all about this. But like Diana said, music is an incredibly like standout point to colleges, even though there are so many musicians in this country. Like what Villanova always says, you know, doing music will put you in the next file for college application. And I definitely find that to be true. You don't have to be first place at your instrument. Tomorrow we'll have Mr. Hamilton do a video about this, but who he finds most successful in applicants aren't the people who got first place in every single CM panel or competition they did as a soloist. The people who get into their dream schools and their schools tend to be the ones who learned something about themselves and about their drive for helping the community through music. So I would say in terms of college candidacy, like that shouldn't be the reason you start music at all. And I know for a lot of parents, it can kind of be like, oh, do I need to start music for my kid to get into a good college? Like that shouldn't be the reason they do it. It should be because they love it, because that personal aspect is going to show on your college applications. But yeah, I would say if your student is inclined to music and they do enjoy playing in an orchestra or a solo, I'm not saying they have to love being a soloist or love being an orchestrion. Like if they just do like an aspect of it, I do think it's a wonderful application addition, and yeah, definitely increases your chances.
Great. What are some excellent resources or organizations for parents to consider as they look into music education for their students?
I will promote SDYS all day long. I truly, really love that organization, and I love being a part of a full symphony. I would say that like the city orchestras, like SDYS and MMYO, that's mainly Mozart. I would definitely say those are great resources for your child to start playing in ensembles. Um, yeah, I love the community of them. I love playing in a symphony. It's just one of my favorite parts of the week. So I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah. And I think like addition to symphonies, obviously SUS and MMIO, they're very great and like almost like they really mirror like professional symphonies and like professional musicianship. I would also say like any of like the county or state, like me and Diana went to all county.
Wasn't it all Southern?
Was it all Southern?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're wearing the shirt.
Yes, I'm wearing the shirt. But yeah, we went and it was like a different experience as well. Meeting like a lot of different people and still getting to play in like the same group together. I think you can also start your own ensembles, like own small groups like trios, piano trios, string quartets. I think that's like a more approachable way for a lot more people because they get to play with friends and yeah, it seems more like open and you can like arrange like practice sessions more easily maybe. And yeah, but I think those are other ways, and there's also other ensembles as well that I'm not too well versed in.
Yeah, so I think it's a really hard process to search for music opportunities, or just doing the research is sometimes the hardest part. As Diana said, the symphonies and Chris with the chamber or orchestras, those are really great places to start. I know for me, like when I started, I had no idea what like an orchestra was. I just played violin because my mom was like, "Do you want to play violin?" And I was like, "Okay." Um, so I'll say that private teachers do give out a lot of resources specific to your instrument, but if you do want to get out and you are at a certain level, I would emphasize the music education aspect of everything. You don't have to be a pro at your instrument to teach music. You can be like anywhere from like intermediate student to an advanced student, and reaching out to schools with music programs to tutor. In this community, I love doing a maze, which is an opportunity to teach music to students with autism and on the spectrum. And those programs, like, they are very accessible, like they're one Google search away. And I know if you don't have a surrounding circle of like musicians as friends, like that should not deter you from getting involved in your community with music. Um, yeah, and I would just say, like, um, as kind of a plug, every summer symphony musician and like any like older musician for students, like they are probably the best resources to go to because they have been through what your student is going through, and any of us would definitely be like willing and able to provide resources specific to your instrument or your interests.
I just wanted to ask you more specifically towards Summer Symphony. What is like your favorite experience in Summer Symphony? Just to, you know, share and
This is a hard one.
yeah, there's so many like great moments. I agree.
Would you say if it was a specific would you say a specific moment or a specific story?
Uh, I mean, you can be as broad as you want, or I don't know. Yeah, you can do like one moment in time.
Does someone want to go first?
Sure, I can. I have a couple. I have a couple memories, so I can start with one. The first year that I was here was in 2017, and that's when we had the solar eclipse. I remember in the middle of Summer Symphony, someone just jumped up and said, "The summer eclipse, like this, the solar eclipse," and so we all just ran outside and we brought a colander so we could like watch the eclipse. Because you couldn't stare right at it, right? So we had like a colander, and that would, if the light went through, it would show the eclipse. That was just a really genuine, fun moment that I remember from my first year. Um, there have been so many moments. It's so hard to pick one. Going to OG's for dinner, like with some of my Summer Symphony friends last year, and then going to some of their houses to hang out. I remember one of the days in Summer Symphony last year, we had like this really big Nathan and I planned this, like we were like the game planners. So we had this giant, it was like a relay race. So I just remember everyone just dashing back and forth across the quad while we were like blasting music. It was just really fun, and I loved the energy and the community and just the joy of being around these people like for 2 weeks at a time. I just adored it. So I think those are some of my favorite memories.
Yeah, I think definitely like getting to meet the like musicians better, like going out to dinner. That was one of my favorite memories. Also, just a lot of the times that we messed up and we like got over that hurdle. Like I know like in my first year on the leadership team, I definitely messed up a lot, like sending emails and like folding brochures incorrectly and all of this. And like all of this, it was like really serious then, but now it seems more of a fond memory. And I think like just having like that role in Summer Symphony and like kind of taking on a bit of a leadership role, it gives you a lot of experience and a lot of fond memories with that as well. Just I really liked all the times Esther got mad at like the brass section. That was one of my favorite. All of those times. Yeah, and Diana and Nathan were great last year. They made Summer Symphony super fun. I know we give Nathan a lot of, we don't cut him a lot of slack, but like he definitely made Summer Symphony engaging, and we like there's a lot of moments where just we got to see like everyone's personalities. That I think that was one of my favorite moments.
For me, I really can't choose like a specific moment, because that would be too hard of a question, and it will probably change every single day. But I think something that's really been a standout thing for me, this program started with um, 15 people, right? And we were like just directing it at the Boys and Girls Club, and then Gabby and Patricia have like kind of rose to be our student team with our second and third year going, and then seeing more people just be inspired again by that student drive and volunteer, and you could see it like ignite something in themselves when they wanted to help out and volunteer. And then now like a few years ago it became Nathan and Diana who rose up, and now we have this incredible team. And even though this is a kind of behind the scenes thing, like one of my favorite moments this year was running those interviews for you guys, because it was just so inspiring to see so many people volunteer their time to show their passion for music. So definitely seeing that growth, not even just the leadership, but among students in the orchestra themselves who are like, wow, this program has really inspired me to not only be a better musician, but to actually, stand up for others at school with my other organizations too, or just stand up for myself and reach out to get, a new private teacher, or try to like fix a passage I just can't seem to get. So I would say my favorite, it's a broader memory, but seeing that student drive kind of radiate throughout the orchestra and with the leadership team, that would have to be my favorite thing about everything.
I'd also like to add, the concerts are always just so much fun. I love performing with this group because I don't feel afraid. I feel excited to perform. I'm excited about the works that we're doing, and I'm excited that we're doing it together, that the conductors are students, and that we chose the music, and that we all organized this. It just makes it so much more meaningful. Um, we also have a potluck after every concert, and every year, without fail, I manage to steal some of Esteban's food. And I've done that every single year since I've been there. And unfortunately, I won't be able to this year, but next year, he needs to watch his plate because I'm coming for it.
Very great. I also have like an experience. It's a memorable experience, is because it was my like first impression of Summer Symphony was when I like walked in the door, and like I was really nervous because I just didn't want to like I wanted to present myself well. But then Nathan and Diana just got up there and started talking, and we started having like fun. They started asking questions. It was really involved. Andrew, my friends, we were all into like the questions they were asking, and eventually we got to playing our instruments, and I was hooked on Summer Symphony for sure. I had a question. Can you speak about some personal music adjacent experiences that you found really unique or fun? Like I'm thinking about like band trips and stuff, or like tutoring.
I'll go first. Over my years, I've done like quite a lot of extra stuff, but I would say two of my favorite memories are going on trips with the music program, because like nothing beats going to Europe with your friends for a week. So I went um, on the Italy trip my freshman year with Gabby actually, and we went to Rome, Venice, and Florence. And in what other like time in your life will you be able to take, well, props to Miss B, but she took, all of our musicians to another country and we got to perform um, like it, folk folklore and Italian pieces, you know, in Italy. And it was just an amazing experience for me to see other parts of the world. You know, traveling is something that's attractive for like almost anyone, right? So traveling plus with your friends and you're making music, um, it's just incredible. And you can see how universal of a language music is. Like everyone is so joyed. Even like when we were on our planes just carrying instruments, everyone was just like so happy to see musicians on a plane. So you really get to see that music is something international. So yeah, I would definitely say those trips. I also went on the Reno Jazz Festival, even though, you know, I'm not a jazz musician. I went with Nathan, and that was also so fun. I went with you know, a string quartet accompanying a jazz trio, and it's just incredible to travel to different states and different countries and compete and see other musicians from other places. So I would definitely say those music trips, like if you get involved in school orchestra, that is definitely one of the biggest pros. Um, and in terms of like, you know, staying here in San Diego, uh, doing orchestras, but also for me, doing those community programs have really helped me feel super rewarded to see like when I tutor someone with autism and they have like this one bad habit of doing something, but throughout the years, like I can somehow teach them that um, to somehow inhibit that bad habit, and seeing that bad habit removed and them liking the violin or piano more, it's one of the, you know, most visible tangible things you can see as a music educator. And I know like we're what, high schoolers, so we can't really call ourselves, you know, music teachers per se, but it's definitely a great experience for anyone to have.
Yeah, definitely. I can second the trips because I went on the Europe trip in 2019. We went to Austria and Switzerland and Liechtenstein. And that was just a blast. That was honestly amazing. But also one of my favorite things was being a part of like summer music festivals. For 2 years, I went to the Maristone Music Festival, which is in Washington State in like a small town called Bellingham. It was very much like a conservatory attitude. For 2 weeks, you just went and you lived in dorms and you played in a symphony like every single day. And you had two performances and you only had like a week to prepare each one. And we did like giant works like Debussy's La Mer or like people did Scheherazade. I think we did Petrushka by Stravinsky and just like all these different pieces. And you would have like lessons with teachers and you would have sectionals and you had like small ensemble groups, rehearsals. It was just amazing to just be constantly surrounded by music for 2 weeks. It's like you literally lived, breathed, and like ate music. It was literally that. Like you woke up, you went to rehearsal, you like had lunch, you went back to like a symphony, like you would have like a quartet rehearsal, and then you would like go practice, and then you would have dinner, and then you would have your symphony rehearsal again, and then afterward you would go hang out with your friends. It was very much music all the time, and so I would definitely recommend that to anyone who's interested. Just doing that sort of immersive program is a blast. It's a really, really good idea.
I don't have like quite as much experience as Esther or Diana in music, but for me, I think definitely like I haven't really been out of state, but going even to all Southern with Diana and our friend Maya, it was super fun. Like it was my first time like going anywhere out, like to perform music by myself. Um, and going with friends, it like made it super enjoyable, and like it's one of definitely like one of the most memorable like trips in my like like high school and middle school life, I guess. Also just like playing in orchestra and like sharing, because like as like in, like music player, you obviously play a lot of the same pieces, especially as a violinist. There's a lot of pieces that everyone plays, and just while you're like learning a certain piece and having all of these seniors or all of these people who've already played this and helping you out, or even like just playing it with you or talking about it, definitely like I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I I'm not very confident in my music ability, but like the community was just so supportive. So those were like some very memorable moments for me. Also, I remember once I followed Esther, I was the page turner for her piano trio. So when she went to Carnegie Hall, I page turned, and I was like so nervous, and I can't even imagine what it's like to actually play because I was page turning. But that was definitely memorable. I think it's the only time in my life like I'll be able to say I went to Carnegie Hall, even though I was a page turner. But I don't need to talk about that part. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add for parents, because I know it's great for you guys to have like a list of resources. Um, in addition to Maristone, some summer festivals or summer, programs. I did California State Summer School for the Arts, also called CISA, also a month-long program with dorms, very collegiate level music style. I know there's Interlochen, there's something called Idlewild, that's probably the closest one right up here in
Yeah, that was the one I was supposed to go this summer before everything got canceled because of COVID. That one's also a really good one.
near LA. And then there's NYO, which is National Youth Orchestra, which is an incredible opportunity for people to travel. I also want to emphasize again Chris's point of all county, all southern, all state. I did all county back in middle school, so you can get involved really early and just meet people from your county. I did all state in sophomore year, and that was an incredible experience. You can see not only classical musicians but jazz musicians and singers there, and it's just wow, like the talent in California is amazing. And I did want to emphasize for parents of older students, and especially juniors and sophomores, this is something that's kind of not really advocated for as much, but if you can go to a college, like even if it's SSU, and take a lesson from a music professor, that is one of the best things you can do if you want to specifically music audition for a music major. That's incredibly helpful. It's another step into the door, but just for any musician, seeing what kind of level professional musicians are at, and these lessons can also like definitely be free. Like if you ask the professor, like they might be able to just do a trial lesson for you. I actually flew to Northwestern to do a lesson, and even though like I didn't do that for college, like Northwestern's lesson program, like it was so amazing for me to actually meet a music professor and have a lesson with them. So those are some other resources I would recommend.
We're getting ready to wrap things up. I have one question, but feel free to ask a question in chat and we'll answer it after this question. I just wanted to ask about how do you feel about music competitions and how do you prepare for music competitions?
I'll go. So I as a musician, I just value chamber and orchestra stuff a lot more. So I did a lot of music competitions with my group and with my piano trio, and I found those incredibly valuable because they more than the competition itself, it gives you like a harsh deadline, and it gives your group a harsh deadline to meet and rehearse and get to know each other better and grow as musicians and chamber musicians. So also for any soloists, I did a lot of solo music competitions in my time as well, both for piano and violin. I would not, fret too much over oh, I need to get first place. Oh, I need to get second place. It's more about like how much in that competition preparation period are you working to better yourself and build a connection with music or with other musicians. Yeah, so I would definitely say, like, on your college app, you are not going to put, I got first place in this competition and write every single competition down. Like, it is more about what you learn from it and how you can speak to your experiences in competitions. So, yeah, that would be my, say on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Esther said. I have done competitions for piano, but I chose not to for cello after doing it for piano. I was like, oh no. I think there is a lot of merit in them. You can get money or scholarships, but I think another part of it is that it can become toxic if you let it, because it can drive this sense of you are worth nothing unless you are first. And I think that is something you have to be very careful about if you are going to choose to do competitions, is to focus more, like what Esther said, on the growth that happens during the period. Um, I chose not to continue to do competitions just because I felt that it was kind of impounding that sense of only first matters into me, and that's something that I really wanted to step away from, because I don't want my worth and identity to be tied up in a ribbon, right? So that's why I stepped away from competitions. But I think that there are many other ways to inspire yourself to practice, and I think sometimes competing as a group, like how we would do in orchestra, we had yearly, like we went to festival, right, and that was a competition. I honestly think for performing as a group helped us to focus less on ourselves individually, like as to let the result affect us individually, but it inspired us to practice more as a group. So I think there can be a shift in dynamic there. But I would really, if you choose to do it, I would think about how it's affecting you and the way that you see yourself, or how your child sees themselves. Um, yeah.
Yeah. For me, like I haven't really done any violin competitions as well, but like I've definitely been debating like whether I should do one. Uh, it's definitely very nerve-wracking. Just thinking about like performing as like a soloist in front of judges, competing with other people. But I definitely think that if your child wants to do compete in competitions, or like just, it's also kind of a booster in confidence, I guess. Although, as Diane said, it's definitely not about what place you get. I've definitely noticed, like for recitals, if I have like a set date for recitals and I'm practicing for a recital, I improve a lot more than if I didn't have a recital. So I think it's similar, but obviously with competitions, there's that extra factor added in, that you want to try to like beat out all your competition. So I think for a lot of people, it might just like, it's a good idea to consider competing in competition, especially if you think that you might be at a skill level where you would do it and it would like be a driving force, and you might get a bit of confidence if you place, for example. But really, I think it's just up to what like your child might want to do. And I definitely don't think that doing solo competition is necessary. I also think like ensemble competitions may be a bit more, there's just feels like shared stress. like and yeah, but definitely like even doing like school competitions and going out to festivals, you definitely realize, I think a lot of people think that when you're in orchestra you can kind of rely on like the other person and not practice as much. And definitely orchestra's there for other people to like support you and like to make, but like definitely when you're in an ensemble or smaller chamber group where you know that each of you have taken a look at the music and practiced together, you get like such a more fulfilling experience and like better music. So I think if you're in an ensemble or orchestra that understands that commitment, there's no like, you don't need to do a solo competition just for the sake of doing a competition. Yeah, but I'm not the most qualified to speak.
And I think there's a difference between there are differences between competitions. If you're doing it like in SDYS, we have the concerto competition. If that's something that you truly want to do, like perform with an orchestra, that is a great way for you to achieve that, right? So there are differences in competitions. Some of them can be focused more on just, getting first place, but some of them have genuine, practical rewards, I guess. And so it depends on what those are and how valuable that is for you. If performing with an orchestra and doing a concerto is something that has been your dream, that's an excellent way to achieve that. So I think just look at how it would affect you, but also what it could give you if you place.
Yeah, and Summer Symphony also has a concerto competition. And so definitely a good way to perform with a symphony backing you.
Just kind of as an ending note, or one of the ending notes, we know, or especially for me, since I've just graduated, I know parents at the end of the day just want what's best for their students. And it's very easy for parents to get very involved in musicians' lives, student musicians' lives in particular. And it's different for every single household. It's different for every single family. There is no perfect formula for your kid to be the standout musician every single college wants. So never give into that, kind of stigma that, your student has to be first place in every single competition to get into Harvard, because realistically, they can get first place in every single competition and they might not get into Harvard. There is, what I was saying, there's no strict rule for music. It's an art form. It's super flexible, and it should be not in your best interest, but as a parent, it's very important as a student for in my perspective, just letting your student have those different kinds of opportunities and pushing them, in terms of trying out new things. And at the end of the day, they'll definitely grow, and if they are involved in music, they will have this incredible community behind them, which is something that's really important to know. And they will forge their own path, and it'll be the right path for them. So we know parents will want the best for their students, and music is an incredible way to enforce that and do that.
Nice answers. If there are no other questions at this time, thank you, parents, for your dedication to your child for attending this live Q&A and learning more about music. Thank you for the speakers for highlighting your experiences and your memories and everything. I hope we can see you at other live streams, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you for attending again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.